Soren, what can you tell us about your art practice? When did you begin and why?
The beginning was a long time ago. I've painted since I can remember, but seriously, going to East Sydney, the first 3 years of the painting course then, and from that, by the time I'd finished my third year, I was already exhibiting, and I started to get some commissions, a few commissions, and that's how it all started. And always had a passion for abstract. It's been probably the biggest driving thing for me is what abstract can give you. Is you can read so much into abstract work. I think that's what really fascinates me about approaching abstract work, is that the perception is by the viewer. The artist does his work and then the rest is up to the imagination of the viewer. So it's really an open book, really, for people to read their own ideas into and it's fashioned by their own minds. And so yeah, there's a two-way thing there that is really fascinating for me, and that's the driver for doing abstract work.
It sounds like the primary driver that you do it to is your fascination or your interest in the fact that the viewer is, by very definition, actively engaged with the piece and can engage with it on a number of levels over different time frames as well.
That's right. Yes. The work's taken a progression over the years, but these days my current involvement is with what we call string theory or something like that. I'm fascinated by the idea that we live in a multi-dimensional world. There's a lot of other stuff going on around us that we can't actually see, hear or smell, and to be able to actually sort of try and encapsulate some of those ideas on a canvas is really fascinating, because it really opens up a whole other area of thought processes that normally probably wouldn't come into your thinking. So it's sort of added another depth just in that idea of trying to capture some of those ideas of other dimensions and put them into a two-dimensional sort of frame. It really, I think, opens up even more possibilities to me as an artist and to the viewer. So, yeah.
Given that, and that's a fascinating take, would it be fair to say that your art, in one sense, is as much cerebral as it is aesthetic?
Oh, definitely. There's, I start with a very basic concept. I try to work up my canvas with a colour selection with an idea in mind of how those colours work and how they might potentially build into a statement. So for me the whole process was very organic. I lay the colour down and then I let what has happened on the canvas read back to me to end up with the final composition of what I've got. But the whole time in the back of my mind is this process of how could that possibly be interpreted a different way. So I certainly think it gives a lot to the viewer to sort of contemplate.
If you have any sense of what you'd like to achieve with your art, in the sense that once it's out there with the viewer, with a collector, in a gallery, whatever, what's the primary thing you'd like the viewer to take away from your art?
I want them to take away a joy and an involvement with the art that isn't instantaneous. I mean, there's an instantaneous effect you get off all art when you see it the first time. But what I really think people will get from my art is a long-term relationship with it. I think they will get satisfaction out of the piece for a long period of time, because the work has got a lot of depth in it. Although it's presented on a two-dimensional frame, it has got a lot of depth to it, and there's a narrative that's been built into that work that can be read from front to back, from inside out, upside down. So there's a million stories to be told in every piece of work. That's the way I feel, and I know that from the people that look at the work and the comments I get back from it. Everyone sees something different in there, and I think that's fascinating in itself.